Did you know that by the end of this video, around 20 seniors will have been diagnosed with dementia? That means a new case every 66 seconds. Scary, isn't it? But here comes the most disturbing part. What if the cause isn't just aging or genetics, but the medications you take every day? For years, we were led to believe these pills were safe, even essential. But recent research is revealing a darker reality. Many commonly used medications among older adults may be accelerating memory loss, reducing mental clarity, and even doubling the risk of developing dementia. And the pharmaceutical industry has known this for a long time, yet it continues to make billions from selling these very drugs that may be silently eroding the mental health of millions. In this video, I'm going to reveal the 9 most surprising medications that may be stealing your memory and speeding up cognitive decline. They'll be listed in reverse order, from the least harmful to the most devastating. And pay close attention, some of them are found in almost every home. Number 3 in particular is prescribed to millions of people for something completely unrelated to the brain. Yet it may actually shrink the very areas responsible for memory. Now I want you to reflect, what medications do you take every day? Have you noticed moments of mental confusion, sudden forgetfulness, or trouble concentrating? That might not be just natural aging. Watch until the end, because the information you're about to discover could change the course of your mental health. Number 9, aluminum-based antacids. At first glance, they seem harmless. They're in every pharmacy, sold over the counter, used daily to relieve heartburn and that burning sensation in the stomach. You might even have one of those bottles in your kitchen cabinet right now. But here's the hidden danger. Those tablets that promise immediate relief may be silently poisoning your brain. The aluminum in some of these formulas doesn't leave the body easily. It accumulates little by little, year after year, until it forms invisible deposits in your nervous system. And what does that mean? Broken communication between neurons. Signals that used to be clear begin to fail. You start experiencing memory lapses, confusion, and trouble maintaining simple conversations. Symptoms that many believe are just part of aging, but may actually be the silent signature of this heavy metal. The message is simple. If you use aluminum-based antacids, don't ignore the signs. Forgetfulness, slowness, and confusion aren't just aging. They may be your brain's warning that it's already overloaded. Number 8, long-term use of corticosteroids, such as prednisone and dexamethasone. They're seen almost as miracle drugs. A pill that takes away pain, soothes inflammation, and makes asthma attacks disappear. Doctors prescribe, patients trust, and the immediate results make it seem like there's no risk. For many, these medications are essential, but here's the part no one talks about. When used for long periods, those same pills that seem to save can slowly begin to destroy. They affect one of the most sensitive areas of your brain, the hippocampus. That's where memories are formed, stored, and kept alive. And that's exactly where corticosteroids leave their invisible marks. Studies have already confirmed this. In 2019, the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology revealed something alarming. Seniors who use prednisone long-term showed significant cognitive decline. It wasn't just typical forgetfulness, it was real loss of memory function. The good news is that there are safer paths. In many cases, physical therapy can reduce inflammation without the need for continuous medication. Natural supplements like turmeric and omega-3 offer anti-inflammatory effects without damaging your memory. Lifestyle changes like stress management, quality sleep, and physical activity strengthen the body and reduce flare-ups that call for corticosteroids. The warning is clear. Short-term use may be necessary, but when the pill becomes a habit, the risk to your brain is inevitable. If you or someone close to you relies on these medications daily, don't ignore the signs. The price may be your memory. Number 7, second-generation antihistamines, such as cetirizine. They hit the market as a revolution. The promise was clear. A modern version of the old allergy meds with less drowsiness and much more safety. Doctors began prescribing them. Pharmacies sold them freely, and millions of people adopted these pills as faithful allies against allergies, rhinitis, or irritating itching. But here's the dark side of the story. These medications, even though they're second generation, are not harmless. When used in high doses or continuously, they can cross the blood-brain barrier, the very barrier that's supposed to protect the brain from external substances. And once they get in, the effects begin to show. What once seemed like simple allergy relief can turn into something far more concerning. Patients report constant fatigue as if they're living in a state of permanent tiredness. The mind loses agility, thinking slows down, and memory starts to fail in simple details. Have you ever forgotten names that used to come easily? Found yourself zoning out in the middle of a conversation, unable to follow? These could be silent signs of the accumulated effects of these drugs. So, what can you do? The good news is that there are safer alternatives. Often, these medications should only be used in specific situations, not as part of a daily routine. Talking to your doctor about other options is essential, from nasal sprays with topical corticosteroids to natural strategies like environmental control and immune-boosting supplements. The message is clear. Don't be fooled by the second-generation label. The name may sound modern, but the impact on your brain can be devastating if use becomes constant. Don't ignore the signs. Number 6, blood pressure medications that act directly on the central nervous system, such as clonidine and methyldopa. These were once considered extraordinary breakthroughs. Old medications used for decades, capable of controlling blood pressure when nothing else seemed to work. For many patients, they were seen as true lifesavers, a pill that brought stability and reduced the risk of stroke or heart attack. But the truth is that this type of medication comes with a silent cost, and it's paid by the brain. These drugs work by reducing central nervous system activity. The result? A calmer body, yes, but also a slower mind. Constant drowsiness, trouble concentrating, and loss of mental clarity become frequent companions. Older adults on long-term use report something even more alarming: the inability to hold a simple conversation without getting lost. Reasoning becomes foggy, memory falters, and mental sharpness seems to slip away bit by bit. What many interpret as a natural effect of aging could, in fact, be the direct impact of these pills on the brain. Medical research has already shown that medications acting directly on the central nervous system alter how neurotransmitters function, impairing communication between neurons. And the longer the use, the greater the risk of cognitive decline. Fortunately, there are now more modern and safer alternatives for managing hypertension. Calcium channel blockers, ACE inhibitors, and other drug classes work effectively without compromising mental clarity. But the warning still stands. Many people remain stuck with outdated treatments without realizing the price they're paying in memory and mental sharpness. If you or someone close to you still relies on clonidine or methyldopa, don't ignore signs like unusual drowsiness, slow thinking, or difficulty maintaining conversations. These symptoms may not be just aging. They could be your brain's warning that it's being overloaded. Number 5, opioids for chronic pain, such as codeine, tramadol, and morphine. These medications carry an almost mythical reputation. They're presented as the last resort against unbearable pain, the kind that nothing else can touch. For those who suffer, they seem like immediate relief, an almost miraculous escape, a pill that silences the pain when everything else has failed. But behind this apparent miracle, there's a hidden cost. Opioids don't just block pain sensations. They interfere directly with brain receptors, shutting down essential circuits. Over time, they reduce the natural production of neurotransmitters related to well-being, motivation, and memory. What once seemed like a solution becomes a silent trap. The brain begins to rely on the drug to function, and the person, without realizing it, becomes increasingly vulnerable. The risk isn't just physical, it's cognitive. In 2022, a study revealed something alarming. Continuous use of opioids in older adults increased the likelihood of developing significant cognitive deficits by about 40%. We're not just talking about common forgetfulness, but deep changes in the way people think, remember, and interact. And there's another danger: dependency. Many patients believe they can only live without pain if they continue using these medications. The body asks for more, the brain demands more, and the person falls into a cycle that's hard to break. But not all is lost. There are safer and more effective options. Targeted physical therapy can rehabilitate muscles and joints, reducing pain at its source. Acupuncture has shown good results in relieving chronic pain without devastating effects on the brain. Muscle strengthening strategies restore stability to the body, and even new, less aggressive painkillers are being developed to replace or reduce the need for opioids. The warning is simple. If you or someone close to you is using opioids continuously, don't ignore the signs of dependency or cognitive decline. The pain may be relieved, but the price may be your memory, your vitality, and even your identity. Number 4, anticonvulsants, such as phenytoin and carbamazepine. These medications were developed for a noble purpose: to control epileptic seizures, protect the brain from uncontrolled electrical discharges, and offer patients more safety. But over the years, their use has expanded. Today, many seniors are prescribed them not for epilepsy, but for neuropathic pain, constant tingling, or even nervous episodes. And that's where the danger begins. These drugs profoundly alter how the brain functions. They reduce what's called brain plasticity, the natural ability to form new connections between neurons. This ability is essential for learning, memory, and keeping the mind agile. When plasticity declines, the brain loses flexibility. Thinking slows down, learning stalls, and memory begins to fail. Patients report something unsettling: the feeling of being disconnected from the world around them, as if they were living in a constant fog, with difficulty concentrating even on the simplest tasks. Reasoning, which once flowed easily, becomes sluggish, and memory lapses become frequent. And the most serious part, these effects don't appear overnight. They settle in silently as use continues. Many believe it's just aging, but in reality, it's the direct action of the medication slowly eroding mental vitality. But there's hope. Medicine has advanced, and today there are more modern alternatives like gabapentin and pregabalin. While they also have side effects, their impact on memory and brain plasticity tends to be much lower. In addition, complementary therapies, such as physical therapy, muscle strengthening, and relaxation techniques, can help manage pain without putting the mind at risk. The warning is clear. If you or someone close to you is using older anticonvulsants for chronic pain, pay attention to the signs. Slowness, learning difficulties, and a sense of disconnection aren't just part of aging. They could be the silent warning that your brain is paying too high a price. Number 3, beta blockers, such as propranolol and atenolol. They're seen as indispensable allies. Used to control high blood pressure, reduce arrhythmias, or even calm anxiety attacks, these medications have become a common part of daily life for millions. Doctors consider them safe for the heart, and indeed, when it comes to cardiovascular protection, they do their job well. But what few people mention is the silent price the brain pays. Some beta blockers can cross the blood-brain barrier, the natural barrier meant to protect the nervous system. Once inside, they alter the levels of neurotransmitters related to memory, learning, and mood. The result? Sudden forgetfulness that seems harmless at first but becomes more frequent over time. Difficulty learning new things, like how to use a device or remember simple instructions, and in many cases, depressive symptoms that appear without any obvious cause. But there are safer paths. Today, more modern versions of beta blockers exist that don't cross the brain barrier as easily, drastically reducing their mental side effects. Also, adjusting the dosage with your doctor can make a huge difference. Balancing blood pressure control with mental health preservation. The warning is clear. If you or someone close to you is using beta blockers and has noticed memory loss, difficulty learning simple things, or signs of unexplained sadness, don't just accept it as normal. It may not be aging. It could be your brain crying for help. Number 2, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, such as ibuprofen and naproxen. They're treated as part of everyday life. A little back pain, knee discomfort, or an arthritis flare-up, and millions turn to them. No prescription needed, easy to find in any pharmacy. They're sold as if they're harmless. For many seniors, they've become almost a daily habit. But here's the part that's rarely talked about. Prolonged use of these medications can bring devastating consequences, especially to the brain. They were created to reduce inflammation, but when used excessively, they can actually trigger the opposite, a silent inflammation inside the nervous system. In 2020, a study published in the journal Neurology brought a disturbing revelation. Seniors who frequently used non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs had a higher buildup of toxic proteins associated with Alzheimer's. These proteins, like beta amyloids, are known to slowly attack neural connections, leading to progressive loss of memory and mental clarity. The good news is that there are alternatives. Pain management strategies like targeted physical therapy can reduce inflammation without overloading the brain. Natural anti-inflammatory supplements like turmeric and omega-3 have shown positive results in studies with fewer side effects. Even lifestyle changes, such as regular exercise and an anti-inflammatory diet, can help reduce the need for these medications. The warning is simple. If you or someone close is using ibuprofen, naproxen, or similar drugs chronically, don't ignore it. The pain may be relieved, but the price can be silent and devastating. Loss of memory and mental health. Number 1, hidden polypharmacy. The greatest enemy of seniors' memory isn't a single pill. It's not just an antacid, an opioid, or a beta blocker. The real danger lies in the combination of all of them. Polypharmacy, the use of multiple medications at the same time, is a silent bomb for the brain. Imagine the scene. A person starts the day with an aluminum-based antacid for heartburn, takes an opioid to manage chronic pain, and shortly after swallows a beta blocker to control blood pressure. Each of these drugs on its own already carries its own side effects, but when combined, they create a devastating burden on the nervous system, and the data leaves no doubt. In 2022, a study involving over 300,000 seniors delivered an alarming warning. Those living with polypharmacy had twice the risk of developing dementia within just 10 years. This is not a statistical footnote. It's a reality thousands of people are living without realizing it. The final message is clear. The danger isn't just in a single pill, but in the pile that builds up every day. Polypharmacy is the hidden enemy of memory, and ignoring it could cost you your clarity of mind. The good news is that medication-induced dementia can be reversible. When the load is reduced and drugs are replaced with safer alternatives, many seniors regain mental clarity, energy, and memory within weeks or months. The brain is resilient, but it needs to be protected. That's why the final recommendation is simple but powerful. Do a complete review of your medications with a trusted doctor. Ask to evaluate all of them, from prescriptions to over-the-counter drugs. Ask about alternatives, lower doses, and new options that don't harm your brain. That decision could be the difference between years of lucidity or a painful journey toward forgetfulness. Now, I want to hear from you. Are you taking any of these medications? Have you noticed brain fog, forgetfulness, or mood changes after starting a new drug? Share your experience, because every story can help someone recognize the signs and save their mind.